In this video, I want to share with you 5 mistakes to avoid when flipping houses. Let's get into it. What's up, everybody? It's Jamel Gibbs, your family-oriented entrepreneur. Welcome to today's video. Now, if you've been watching my channel for any amount of time, then you know that I've been in the real estate business since 2002, and I've flipped more houses than I can count at this point. I was even involved in the 2008 market crash, fixing and flipping real estate, and I got myself into some trouble. So what I'm going to share with you today are things that I wish I would have known back in 2008, because this market shifted and there's some things that you should keep in mind in order to avoid making the same mistakes that I made back then. So in this video, I want to share with you 5 key tips that I really want you to keep in mind, especially in today's market when flipping houses. The market has taken a shift, and you want to be mindful of these particular tips that I'm going to share with you in this video in order to avoid any headaches. Now, there's also going to be a 6th tip that I'm going to share with you, which is going to help you grow your wealth. So stay tuned for that until the very end. So the first mistake I see investors making in today's market is not understanding what's going on in the market. They're ignoring the trends that's happening locally. If you ignore the trends, if you ignore what's happening in your local market, then you can really shoot yourself in the foot, because you can overpay for a property, for example. You can sit on a property a little longer than you anticipated. There's a lot of things that can happen in a negative sense that would cause you to lose money on your flips. So you really want to be mindful of what's happening in your local market in order to be able to make sure that you're purchasing at the right time and make sure that you're purchasing at the right price so that you can make a profit on all of your flips. Some of the things that you really want to keep in mind in today's market is, number 1, the days on market. So you want to understand the DOM, days on market. And the reason for that is because the days on market, especially right now, are extending longer than they were in previous years. So previously, you may have been able to sell a house in, let's say, 7 days, maybe 2 weeks. These days, in today's market, as we shifted into a buyer's market, houses are sitting a lot longer. Buyers are becoming more picky. And because of that, you might have a house that's sitting on the market for at least 60 days, for example. I spoke to a realtor just a couple of days ago, and we're seeing a nationwide trend where houses are sitting for a minimum of 60 days. So it really depends. Obviously, real estate is a local business, so you got to take that into account as well. You got to see what's happening in your local market. And before you actually purchase any flips, talk to a realtor to see how long houses are sitting in your local area. How many days on market are houses sitting, so that you can be prepped for it when you list your house up for sale. Another thing you want to keep in mind is the average price of a property. Prices are starting to drop. They're starting to level out just a little bit. Not a lot, but they're leveling out just a little bit. So you want to make some adjustments and keep those prices in mind. What are comparable houses selling for within the last, let's say, 2 to 3 months? You don't want to go out as far as a year, because a year ago, that was a completely different market. So you want to see real-time comps. What's happening right now within the last 1 to 3 months in your local area, so you can make adjustments on your price before you actually purchase the property. If you purchase the property without running your comps, it can cause you to overpay. Also, when it comes to not understanding the market, people are still overpricing properties. Again, this comes with running comparable sales. This comes with knowing how many days the property will potentially be on the market. So you really want to adjust your pricing when you sell accordingly. And this can only happen if you buy right. You have to buy right in order to be able to sell right. There's a saying in real estate, and I know you've heard this before: you make your money when you buy, not when you sell. The reason people say that is because if you buy at the right price, you'll always be profitable on the back end. Another thing to keep in mind is knowing what's actually selling in your market. So are more expensive homes selling? Are more middle-class homes selling? Are more cheaper homes selling? And that's what you want to stick to. You want to know what's happening in your local market. Again, days on market, the prices that these homes are selling for, the type of homes that are actually selling, and you also want to make sure that you don't overprice, which means that you have to buy right up front. And this can apply to this market that we're in right now, but really it applies to all markets. It doesn't matter what the market cycle is. You always want to keep these principles in mind as you're flipping houses in any market. The second mistake that you want to avoid is overpaying for properties. So again, this is a spillover from the first mistake. You want to make sure you run your comps up front. Now, I see a lot of investors thinking that the market is still the same as it was a year ago, 2-3 years ago, when you can literally overpay. People were fighting for houses. That's not the case. Again, buyers are picky in this market. Interest rates are high. So they're being really picky with the houses that they're choosing, causing the houses to sit on the market a little longer. Now, yes, there is a shortage of houses that's on the market, of course, but that doesn't necessarily mean that buyers will overpay for houses. You want to prevent overpaying in any market, not just this market, but really in any market. You want to avoid overpaying for a house. And the only way to do that is to understand three key principles. You got to understand what other houses are selling for, comparing houses that are like in kind to the one that you're thinking about buying. You also want to make sure that you understand lending formulas these days. So one of the lending formulas that investors use is the Mayo formula. So what you do is you take those comparable sales that you've run, multiply it by 0.70, and then you subtract the repairs. Most lenders, especially hard money lenders, will follow that formula in order to dictate if you have yourself a good deal or not. You want to see what lending criteria is in your local area. For example, I saw a lender the other day, they won't lend 70 cents on a dollar, but they'll do 68 cents on a dollar. Find out what lenders are lending based on comparable sales in your local area and make an adjustment to your formula when you buy in order to be able to prevent overpaying for a property. So you got to have realistic expectations. You don't want to overpay for a house. You don't want to come in with the same mentality that I can pay a little bit more for this house because people are still buying houses relatively quickly. No, you want to make an adjustment. This is a buyer's market that we're in. In a buyer's market, you focus on the buyers. In a seller's market, you focus on sellers, right? So you want to make sure in a buyer's market, you cater to the buyers. In a seller's market, you cater to the sellers. So have realistic expectations on what houses are actually selling for. Again, I mentioned in tip number 1 to know what's happening in your local area within the last 1 to 3 months. The market rapidly changes, okay? So you want to keep that stuff in mind. But also understand the lending formulas. Lenders make adjustments to their loans, to the loan criteria. You make adjustments to your buying criteria as a rehabber. And then also have realistic budget expectations. You don't want to go in expecting to build a Taj Mahal, but you still want to spice the house up enough to make it attractive to the buyer's eye. All right. So you want to have these expectations up front. You want to know what houses are selling for. You want to know how much money you actually have to put into the house without overdoing it so that you can still be profitable. And you also want to know the lending criteria in today's market. Make these small adjustments and you'll be able to be profitable on your next flip. Now, the third thing to avoid in today's market is ignoring what happens after you're done with the fix and flip. So again, buyers are picky. You want to make sure you have nice finishes. You want to make sure that the house is appealing so that you can sell the house relatively quickly. You don't want to overprice the houses, things of that nature. Also, ignoring what you need to do after the house is finished with the rehab will hurt you in today's market. Some of the things that you want to keep in mind: make sure that the house is spick and span. Make sure that you clean the house really well. You should be doing that on all flips anyway, but you want to make sure that the house is clean. You also have to put forth the marketing effort. This is your realtor's job, but you can also assist your realtor in marketing the house. So realtors can't just sit houses on the MLS. They can't just list them today and expect it to sell. They got to put in a little more work. They got to earn their commission in today's market. So some of the things that you can do, especially in a buyer's market, is market harder in order to be able to get more eyeballs on your property. Another thing that you can do, and this is, obviously you want to check with your realtor, but this is a great tip. Offer bonuses to realtors. When they see that there's a bonus, if they sell a house relatively quickly, then that can put more eyeballs on your property as well. Be careful with that because the laws have changed recently, so you just want to talk to your local realtor to see if that's something that you can do. Another thing you can do is offer money to buy down points on a mortgage. So buyers, obviously we know the interest rate is really high. You can offer to assist in buying down points on the buyer's mortgage so that they can afford the mortgage in today's market, especially if the houses are on the more expensive side. So these are different things that you can keep in mind as you're looking to sell your properties. Don't ignore the after effect of your rehabs. You want to make sure that you're marketing harder. You want to make sure that you're offering incentives in order to be able to get your property sold. Let's move into tip number 4. Tip number 4 to avoid is cutting corners. I don't like to cut corners anyway, but especially right now in a buyer's market, you definitely don't want to cut corners when it comes to flipping houses. So when you cut corners, it's going to end up costing you more money in the long run. For example, you may try to cut corners on the rehab, buy cheaper materials, that's going to affect the look and feel of the property. You might cut corners and not call up the codes office in order to get your stuff, up to code, for example, or the planning and zoning department in order to get things permitted, right? If you do things like that, it's going to end up costing you in the long run, whether the buyer is not going to buy the property from you or the city is going to find out that you're trying to rehab a house without pulling the proper permits, and they're going to make you pull the permits anyway, which is going to cost you more time. It's going to cost you more money. So don't cut corners. Do this the right way. You're operating a business. You're putting your name on this product. Make sure that this name is immaculate, right? That's the way I do every single project. Make sure that we put the new electric if needed. We make sure that we put the new heating and air units in if needed. We put the new roofs on, the new windows, and we make sure that the property is something that we would look forward to living in if we were buying the house. And you want to treat people the way you want to be treated. So don't cut corners. It'll end up costing you more money in the long run. Now, on the flip side of that, you don't need to overspend either. So let's say that the roof was done 5 years ago. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to go and put a new roof on the property. If the windows are in great shape, obviously you're not going to change the windows out. If you don't need to change the HVAC system, the heating and air system, and it's only 10 years old, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to go out and get a new one. But you also want to be mindful to provide a higher level, a higher quality of work, because again, this is a buyer's market. Buyers are being picky, and that can either make you or break your real estate business. Now, the fifth mistake to avoid when flipping houses is having a lack of funds. Now, this doesn't just apply to a buyer's market, like the market that we're in right now. This applies to any market, seller's market, hot market, cold market, warm market, doesn't matter. You never want to have a lack of funds. Now, do you need to save up a whole lot of money in order to be able to start flipping houses? No, you can use business lines of credit. You can use other people's money for gap funding. You can bring on private money partners and things like that. But you'd never want to have a lack of capital, because a lack of capital will cause you major headaches when it comes to flipping houses. So a lot of people want to get started flipping houses, but they don't have enough money in order to be able to do it. They don't have enough relationships. They don't have enough of a track record in order to be able to do it. What you can do is maybe partner with a couple people. Maybe start building your savings account. Maybe start building your network in order to be able to tap in, so that when you have these fix and flip opportunities, you'll be able to get started and take advantage of these opportunities in order to be profitable in your real estate business. So having a lack of funds can really cause some issues in your business. So you want to make sure you have some side capital, or at least be able to handle your interest payments every single month when you're dealing with your lender. If you're prepared financially, if you're in a position to be able to get business credit, to be able to build these relationships, to be able to, have some money saved up, then the house flipping business is a great business for anybody. So those are the 5 mistakes to avoid when flipping houses. And as I've mentioned in the beginning, there's also a 6th tip, a 6th mistake that I want you to keep in mind. I didn't want to make this part of the 5 because this one is a bonus and it should be a given. And the one mistake that I've personally made over the years that I wish I would have known, or I wish I would have avoided, is keeping more houses. The 6th mistake is not keeping enough of your flips. So every house doesn't need to be a fix and flip. You want to make sure that you keep some of these houses. That way you can build passive income quicker. That way you can, build your retirement quicker if that's what you plan on doing. That's where you can build that time and freedom, which this channel is all about. Time and freedom. The only way to get the real time and real freedom is having the income that you don't necessarily have to go out and work for 2 and 3 times over. You can do the work once and be able to benefit from that investment over and over and over again, as long as you own the investment. This is something that I teach on my channel all the time, something that I tell my coaching clients all the time. Keep more houses than you sell, and you will reach your goals in real estate a lot quicker than not. Those are the 6 tips that I wanted to share with you. You got the 5 mistakes to avoid when flipping houses, and you got that 6th mistake, not keeping enough houses. You definitely want to keep more houses in order to be able to build your wealth relatively quickly in your real estate investing business. So go ahead, leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know which mistakes you've made in your house flipping business, or let me know how you liked today's video. What benefited you the most with these 6 tips that I dropped on you in this video? Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell for more videos just like this, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.